is MJ, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a nice reusable market bag. I have in the PDF pattern 3 sizes, but today I'm going to be showing you how to make our medium-sized bag. So this is perfect to use for all of your shopping needs, or you can really use it. It would be pretty summer bag or storage for your yarn, really whatever you want to use the bag for. The pattern works up quick and easy. I've crocheted this in treble crochets, and the stitch is loose but also tight enough that that things aren't really going to pull through. Okay, so for a medium-sized bag, if you get a big ball of your Handicrafter cotton, so I'm using the Bernat Handicrafter. Now the solid colors, you should be able to get 2 bags from your main color. If you're going with a larger or a variegated, you will need 1 ball per bag. And for your handle, if you choose to do it in the contrasting color as I show, you need about 50 grams. So that would be a small size ball. So for 1 bag, about 50 grams. You'll also need 2 hooks for the pattern. I will be working with a 6mm crochet hook. And also for our strap, we're going to go down a hook size to a 5.5mm. Okay, so to begin, you want to make a magic circle. If you're not familiar with the magic circle, wrap your yarn around your index finger 3 times. Take your hook and slide it through all 3 loops. Now you're going to grab your first loop and pull it through. And now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Our chain 3 is counting as a treble crochet, and now I'm going to chain again for our chain 1. Now we're going to do a treble. So for a treble, you wrap the yarn around your hook twice. Go down into the ring, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So treble, chain 1, treble, and then we'll chain 1, wrap the yarn around our hook twice, go down into the loop, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. So now in total, we want to have 12 trebles. So 1, 2, 3, we're counting the chain as the first, chaining 1 between every treble. So continue treble, chain 1 all the way around so that we have 12. Okay, so I have 12 trebles and we'll chain 1 to finish. And before I join, what you want to do is move your work out of the way so you can see those loops. Take your tail, start pulling it. 1 loop, as you can see, starts to pull in and the other one doesn't. So the one that started to pull, that's the one you want to now grab and pull. And that other loop will pull in, and then just take your tail to tighten that up. Now we're going to slip stitch in the top of the chain 3 to join. Just go through that, slip stitch, and we're joined. Now what I want you to do is slip stitch down into this space. And now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 3 for our treble and 1 for the chain 1. I just have a mess here from pulling from the center. I'm just going to move that. And back down into the same space, we're going to do a treble. Okay, so that makes a V stitch, and our V's are going to be increasing each of our rounds. So now we're going to go over to our next chain 1 space, and we're going to do a treble, Oops. Chain 1 and another treble, all in the chain 1 space. And we're just repeating this all the way around. So a treble, chain 1, and a treble, all in the chain 1 space. So just repeat this all the way around. Okay, so I'm just coming to my last V, my last chain 1 space. So you should have 12 V stitches, or if you count the trebles, you should have 24. So we go from 12 to 24. Now slip stitch in the top of the chain 3 to join. And slip stitch down into the chain 1 and chain 4. 2, 3, 4. And back in that same space, we'll do a treble. So now how this round changes is we're going to start working stitches in between the V's. So we've made our first V, which is our increase, and now we'll treble in to the stitch, the first stitch, and the next stitch. And now in the next V stitch, we'll do another V stitch. So treble, chain 1, and treble. And now make sure that you catch that first stitch and the next. And then in the V, or the chain 1 space, we do our treble, chain 1, and treble. And just keep working this all the way around. Okay, so I've just come to the end. So I've made my V in the chain 1 space, and now we still need to add 2 trebles. So one in that stitch, and then as you can see this stitch here, it's kind of tight to work into, but we need to add another treble there as well. Okay, so now we've increased to 48 trebles. Okay, so now we will slip stitch in the third chain of the chain 4 to join. Slip stitch down, chain 4, and a treble in that same space. So now the pattern basically becomes repetitive. We work in every stitch across to the next chain 1 space, and then we do our treble, chain 1, treble. So this time, instead of working 2 trebles, we'll have 4. So every round has an additional 2 trebles between the chain 1 spaces. So there's 1, 2, 3. There's our last. And now we come to the chain 1 space, work a treble, chain 1, and a treble. And then you'll have 4, and then the chain 1 space again. So just keep working that all the way around. Okay, so I'm coming to the end of the round. So I've done my V in the chain 1 space, 1, 2, 3, and again in that little space here, we have to add our final treble. When you slip stitch, you want to just make sure you don't do it too tight so that's easy to work into. And now we'll slip stitch in the third chain of the chain 4 to join. And slip stitch. And we're just repeating this around, but now instead of working 4 stitches, we're working 6. So I want you to continue doing this increase. Do this round and then work another round where you have 8 trebles in between your V's, and that will bring you up to 120 stitches. So do 2 more rounds, finish with 120 stitches, and then I'll meet you up again. Okay, so I've worked up to 120 stitches, and my circle measures across about 13.5. The gauge isn't super important on this pattern, but if you're going for a similar size, it should measure about 13.5 inches. So I've joined and chained 3. So my chain 3 is counting as my first treble. And now I'm just going to work into the next stitch. So now we're just working in the stitches all the way around. We're no longer going to make a V because we don't want to make any more increases. So just work a treble in each stitch, and when we get to the first chain 1, I'll show you what to do. Okay, so I've worked across, and here's my chain 1, and now we're just going to skip across that and just work into that next stitch. And you're just doing that all the way around, skipping the chain 1 and just working a treble in the top of every stitch. Okay, so I've been counting as I've gone around, and I've included the chain 3 as a stitch, so I'm at 119. Final stitch right here will be 120. So we're not increasing anymore, so we don't need to work into that little stitch. We're just finishing in the regular stitch, and we have 120, and just slip stitch in the top of that chain 3 to join, and chain 3. So now for the rest of the bag section, we're just working 120 stitches in each stitch around. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 increase rounds, and now we'll have 10 non-increased rounds for a total of 16 rounds. So we've already done 1, our 7th, so we'll need to make 9 more. So I'm gonna stop, and you can pause your video and just work your additional 9 rounds off, and I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll meet you back up to show you how we begin this section, as well as the straps and the edging. Okay, so I've worked up a total of 16 rounds. And just on your very last treble, I want you to change to the new color. And join. Chain 1. Okay, so we're going to want to work a single crochet in the very first stitch, and then we're going to skip every other stitch to pull in the bag. Okay, so what I've done is, including the chain, I've counted over 31 stitches. So we're going to want to work our single crochets in every other stitch to the 31 mark right there. So I've single crocheted in the first, we'll skip the next stitch and then 1 single crochet in the next. So there's 2, skip the next, 3, skip the next, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 will go into that stitch marker stitch. And now we can pull that out. Okay, so that's pulled that in, and now we'll chain 1 and turn. Now we'll work 1 single crochet in every stitch across, and just make sure to keep these stitches loose. So there's 16, and chain 1 and turn again, and now we're going to work the center single crochet, the waistcoat stitch, across this row. So let's just examine the stitch. See this little V in the post right here? You can see them all going across. We're going to work down into this. So you want to make sure you're going between that loop and pushing through and finish your single crochet. So here's the next one. You're pushing down in between, grabbing your yarn, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're working this all the way across, and see, it is difficult to get into that stitch, and that's why I wanted you to crochet that row of single crochet loose. Just makes it a little easier to get through, and then the next row will be easier. So just work that across. I'll meet you up at the So far I've gone across 14, here's 15, and then just in that final stitch there, we'll just do a regular single crochet for 16 stitches. Chain 1 and turn again. And we're just doing the same thing across. So we're working center single crochets down between the V, the inverted V of the stitch. So you're working across 15 and then a regular single crochet in that final space. Okay, I've worked across again, and we'll do a single crochet in that final stitch and turn. So what you want to do is a total of 11 rows so that we're ending on the right side. So you can just count as you go for a total of 11. So I'm going to continue working my rows off camera. And I'll meet you back up when I have my 11 completed. Okay, so I've worked up 11 rows, and it measures about 3 inches. approximately, and let's just check out the width here. It's about 6. It's about 3 by 6. Now if you're struggling to kind of count the rows, let me just work through that with you. So here would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so now what we're going to do is you can fasten this off. And we're going to count over 29 stitches. So that's into that stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So there's 29. And now we're going to start the next piece, which is identical, and we're going to work it across these 31 stitches. So let me just slip stitch to join, and then I'm going to move the stitch marker. So come in here, slip stitch, chain 1, and then we'll work a single crochet in that stitch, and then just so we're sure we have the right stitches we're working across, I'll count over 31 here too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 31. It should be 16, but just to be sure that you get it the right stitches across, there's 1 skip, 2 skip, 3 skip, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 should be ending in the stitch marker, and it is, so we've worked it across correctly. And then you should have 29 stitches from here to here. So now the side that we're going to work is going to be our front side, just because our join kind of goes up the back. So I would rather this sort of be the front and this the back of our bag. And now we're just going to repeat exactly what we did on the other side. So when we're on the wrong side here, we're just working across a single crochet in every stitch across, so 16 single crochet stitches, and then we start our center single crochet rows. Okay, so we're back to the right side, and then we'll start working our center single crochets in every stitch across, and then the final stitch is a regular single crochet. So now I want you to work up 11 rows identical to the other side. And then once we have that completed, we can fasten off, and then I'll show you how to start working the straps and the edging. Okay, so I've completed 11 rows on this side, and I'm going to fasten off this side as well. Okay, so we're going to work on the edging now. I want you to go to the back where your join is, and I'm going to join into that. Don't join into this stitch here, join into the next. So we should have 29, if you remember, stitches across. So we're going to join with a slip stitch and chain 1 and work 1 single crochet in that first stitch and in the next 28. So you should work across 29 in total. You're just doing a single crochet in every stitch. So I'm going to work this across and then I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so I've gotten to the other side here, and now we want to work up this section 8 stitches. So you just want to evenly place them that side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I kind of in that 8th sort of like to go up into that top stitch just so it really gives us a nice edge there. And now we're going to do foundation single crochets to make the strap. So if you haven't done the foundation single crochet, I'm going to work through it slow here for you. So we're going to chain 2. You're going back down through the first chain, but also turning, see that little loop in behind there? You're going through that as well. Now yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, that's your foundation chain, yarn over, pull through 2 for the single crochet. So now I put my finger on the chain because that is where we have to go back down, and we're going through the 2 loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, put your finger there, yarn over, pull through 2, go back down, and once you get the hang of where you're going down, you don't need to put your finger, you can just whip through them quickly. What you want to make is a total of 60. Okay, so if you turn your work and look back, you can count how many stitches you have. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now just keep working them until you have 60. Okay, so I've worked 60 and I've given it a tug. I've measured it out, it's about 18 inches. Now you can completely alter this. If you don't want as big a strap, I would just maybe say reduce it by 10. You could even go down even for more handle. Like it will stretch as you wear it. So just this I find on the first one I did, when I put it over my shoulder and add a bunch of weight to it, it will stretch out a bit, but I find this to be a good length for myself. If you're a bit shorter, I'm about 5'6". If you're a little bit shorter than me, you may want to reduce it a bit. Really, it's up to you and what you find works. But now what you want to do is you're not going to want to twist this. So I just lay it out so it looks as you would have it over your shoulder. And in that top stitch here, we're going to do a single crochet. So that counts as our first out of our 8 that we do along here. So there's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now remember, this is the stitch attached to here, so you want to work into the next one and work across 29. And then we'll repeat the same thing for the strap on the other side. So I'm going to work across my 29 stitches and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so I've worked across 29 and now we're working 8 stitches up the side. Just going to crochet over some ends as I go. There's 1, 2, 3. Maybe not work over that blue one, so you can see it there. Five, 6, 7, and then I'm getting my 8th up in that top stitch. 8. And now we'll do the same thing with the strap. So we'll foundation, single crochet 60. So starting off with a chain 2. There's 1, 2, 3, and just keep repeating this until you have 60. Okay, so I've worked 60. I've stretched this out, made sure again that we're not twisted. Working a single crochet in that last or first stitch, however you want to look at it, the top. So that's the first of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now we're going to slip stitch in the first single crochet we made to join, and chain 1. So now we're just working around a single crochet in every stitch. So there's 1, 2. So in total, all the way around, you should have 210 stitches because we have 29 on this side, 29, 60, 60, 8 and 8, 8 and 8. So if you add all those up, there should be 210 stitches. So if you like to keep track as you work around, that's how many stitches, but if not, just follow your stitches all the way around and we'll join up and we'll actually do 2 rounds of this. So this being the first, and then we'll do 1 more. Okay, so when we get over to the strap, you want to make sure that you're looking at it the right way. So these stitches in here look a little tighter, and then if you hold it flat like this, you know you're supposed to start working into these stitches here. So going through the first stitch, and then that really joins it up so that it looks much cleaner. So I've worked all the way around and I'm actually on my other strap. And again, you get to the end and you just keep working in these single crochet stitches. Really, really simple. Just work all the way around. So you're going around both straps in all the sides of the bag. Then when we get to the end here, we're slip stitching in the top of that first single crochet to join. Chain one, and we'll do one final round. So just work all the way around the bag and the straps again and join up. I'll meet you back joining up again, and then we can weave in our ends and add a personalized tag. Okay, so I've slip stitched to join, and as you can see, this is all I have left. So this would be a 50-gram ball. So if you run out and you really want to stay within that ball, you could always try dropping your hook size or even just taking a few stitches out of the strap. I really generally buy the big balls so that I have lots, but if you're wanting to keep it a little bit more affordable and you don't want leftovers, then that's always a suggestion to buy the 50-gram ball and just make it work. So now what we can do is just weave in all these ends. Now I've tried to crochet over a lot of them as I go. So this one's crocheted over, so I just need to weave it back in the opposite direction. So for all the ends, that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you weave them one way and back in the opposite direction, just to make sure everything is secured well. Okay, so this is how your bag should be looking. It's got a really big belly on it. I'll show you how it looks when we open it up. The straps, you want to make sure they're pulled out and stretched nice. And now what you can do is add a personalized tag. I like to do it on the side that I want as my front, put the seam on the back. So I just need a little bit of embroidery thread. And I get my tags. My tags have been designed by Brick Bubble, so you could go to her webpage, brickbubble.ca, if you're interested in your own tags. So I like to add it here. You could add it even to a corner. I'm going to add mine right there. So you just need a sharp needle that can go through the holes. Just move my desk up. Leave a tail here for tying. Push through. Then you can just tie this, knot it, and just sort of weave it through before you trim. Okay, so now I just wanted to show you how big this bag is. So it really opens up. It's nice and big. So you can get either lots of groceries, you could use this as a beach bag, as a yarn bag, really an everything bag, because you can use this for really anything, but it's nice and big and you can fit lots of goodies in it. And this pattern worked up so quick, it's so easy to make. So I hope you enjoy making bags for yourself or for gifts.